we're back here. Really excited about this one. Episode 2 of Points Before Power, and this is when we're really, I think, gonna start to get into the nuts and bolts of how we utilize points to go on vacations. I think our first example is gonna be what you did on your first vacation, right?
Correct. Yeah, we're going to get a little bit more practical and applicable on how you can actually do some of these things by sharing some of our experiences.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's just jump right into it. I think so. What was your first vacation that you used reward points? What did you do? Kind of general overall. Like, what did you see? Kind of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, great. So we went to California a few years back. My wife was 7 months pregnant with our second child, and we also brought along our 3-year-old daughter. And in California, we went to San Francisco, Sacramento, Yosemite and Kings Canyon, and Monterey. It was fantastic. In San Francisco, my daughter has a book, and it's how to count. So it's a book of numbers by Hello World, and we use that to help plan our time in San Francisco. So went to the Japanese Garden, Pier 39, Golden Gate Bridge, of course, and Chinatown. So that was really great. We also went to Sacramento to see some really good friends. Shout out to Bill, Rachel, and the boys, Nick and Josh. And I also got to meet up with my cousin Chad. It's always a good time to meet up with family and friends. And then from there, we went over to the Yosemite Valley. Quickly saw some of the highlights. It's a very busy park, but worth every minute. We even stopped over. There's a steam engine train in Kings Canyon that we did en route. Highly recommend that. And in Kings Canyon, we saw some giant sequoias, which, if you haven't seen those, Mike, I'm just blown away at how huge those things are. Have you ever been there?
I've been to California, but I have not been to see the sequoias.
Sequoia,
No.
yeah, definitely. By sheer size, largest trees by volume, and it's you feel like you're in another world. It's just amazing. And then lastly, we went to Monterey to go see the aquarium, which was world class. Just couldn't say enough about that, but also gave me an excuse to drive on Highway 1 back to San Francisco, which was breathtakingly beautiful. So yeah, that was our first trip a few years back, and it was great.
How long was the trip? That sounds like you did a lot. So how many days was it?
I'd have to look. I think it was 8 days, 7 nights. We hit up a lot of spots, did a lot of driving, but it was definitely worthwhile.
Okay. Well, nice. Well, then let's get into how you paid for it with points. Would you say like what's your I guess what credit cards did you use? Let's start with that.
All right, so I opened up a few different credit cards. Chase Sapphire. I also opened up an American Express Marriott, which is now Bonvoy, Chase Southwest, and a City Advantage, which was probably a lot more cards than I needed to, but I wasn't as efficient as I could have been. But either way, it still beat using my own money. As you know, I'm a spreadsheet guy, so I tracked everything. And I'll just ruin the surprise by telling you what was an over $5,000 family vacation trip. We paid less than $2,000 out of pocket with our own money. And that includes everything from gratuities to the bellhop. I mean, that was every dime spent. So, yeah, we did all right.
Okay. Let's start with the flights then.
Yep, so we used American Airlines to fly out there direct. So we went from Chicago to San Francisco. It was 37,500 points, which was a cash equivalent of just shy of 700 bucks. Then we took Southwest back, so San Francisco to Chicago direct. That was 30,000 points and a cash equivalent of $480. I'll just say this real quick about Southwest. The family boarding, which gets you boarding before Group B, is fantastic. Really takes some stress off there. And the Southwest card is my number one recommendation for beginners. You really just can't go wrong with it. It's a very simple card to use. We can get into that in a different episode though. And lastly, I would say so for all these flights that were free, it was less than $36 out of pocket.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Now, I've gotten cheap flights. You can get cheap places, but the lodging tends to add up. So, what was your strategy for all the different places you stayed?
So yeah, definitely the flights and lodging for vacation seems to be the one-two punch. So we stayed at a Club Quarters hotel. We had a Diplomat suite with a kitchenette, which is great, especially having kids along. That was just shy of 52,000 Chase points, so it was $640 cash value. Unbelievable. We had our own private patio. We could see the bay. Then we stayed at a Westin in Sacramento. Beautiful grounds, really nice lobby. Now, something that's not going to translate is it used to be the Marriott card, now it's the Bonvoy. So some of the point equivalencies are off, but that was 10,000 points a night, which was $200 cash value. We spent 2 nights there. Then in the national park, we stayed at Tenaya Lodge, which was very high class, but didn't bother me at all. Really enjoyed it. It was definitely above our league. It's somewhere. It was a treat. We went to stay there normally, but that was just shy of 36,000 chase points and a cash value of $446 a night. We celebrated my wife's birthday there, so we got some room service and some desserts. It was highly recommend the place. It was absolutely gorgeous. And then 2 more places. We stayed at a Garden Inn and Suites, and that was just in Monterey. Really great place. We were able to walk to the ocean, saw deer, a lot of wildlife. I was really surprised by that. Now, for that one, I did pay cash because sometimes when you're looking at your options, the best value is paying cash and not to use your points. So you really do want to look at the redemption value and what money you're saving with points. So that one, I definitely put the spend on a card of a bonus that I was trying to hit. So it was money well spent and points well saved. Just on a side note, a coworker of mine a year later stayed at the exact same place completely per chance. It's that good that it quickly comes to the top of the radar of places to stay. Highly recommend it. And lastly, we stayed at a Westin in San Francisco right by the airport before we had left. And just want to say really good service there. I had a really good experience with some valet guys who were trying to save me from having to pay for parking for about 10 minutes. So shout out to those guys. And on that one, it was 6,000 Starwood points worth about $110 redeemed there. So that was really good.
Wow. That was a lot of hotels you got. I guess getting around, that's the next thing. Did you rent a car, or you must have?
Yeah, we did a little bit of everything, honestly. So we got some transit passes that you can get right at the airport. We paid cash for those. We had a private car hire, which, as nice as Uber and Lyft are, that was like to the next level. Traveling across the country with, like I said, a pregnant wife and a toddler, and they took us right to the hotel. So that's how we got into San Francisco. Used the transit passes to get around San Francisco. But then when we left the city, we had a car rental, and we had a great redemption on that. It was just over 16,000 chase points, a cash equivalent of over $200, and we had a little SUV to run around in to get to all the other places. Real quick, Mike, the other thing I would say about the car rental is a lot of the credit cards that I use, you use, do have rental insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another place that you can save some money.
Yeah, it's a perk of the card. People might not realize that it's
Absolutely.
not as advertised.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, don't double pay. That's for sure.
Well, I know you keep track of everything. So any points, tips, or anything on any of the food or gas or attractions that you might have from the trip, or was that all cash?
So I will say this, that some points rewards have dining programs attached to them, and we can get into that in a different episode. So that was something that we used. Rakuten, which used to be formerly Ebates, that's another thing. Sometimes if you're booking online, to see if that's something that's available to save a little bit extra. And then lastly, if you need to book a hotel and none of your portals or any points are going to be of use, using hotels.com is a good place to go because you get your 10th night free and they keep track of it all for you. So those are just some things, again, to minimize out of pocket or maximize when you are spending.
So as you said before, it was about an 8-day trip. You only paid $2,000 of your own money for it, but it was a $5,000. That was the worth of the vacation, correct?
Correct.
Wow. And that was your first trip. So I think, would you say from there you probably could have gotten that cheaper if you would have known the strategy you know now back then?
Yep. So not only could I have been more efficient in the point spend, but probably using less cards for opening. Because again, the cards that were opened didn't necessarily pay for there were points left over. I didn't have to use all the points. So, there's definitely some efficiencies that I learned that Mike and I can share with you as we have future episodes.
That's an awesome trip. It sounds like. Yeah, I'm hoping to get back out to California again someday soon with my wife, and we might have to stay at some of the same places.
Yeah, awesome. I look forward to talking about that.
In the next one, I think we're going to go over my first vacation that I would say my wife and I did for point hacking, call it, and it was actually our honeymoon. And it's a little bit different combination and story. But we can go over that. in the next one. And I guess one last plug that we want to do here. It's not even a plug. It's not that we're getting paid for any of this, but just kind of a product I want to mention. Now that we've all been in kind of a telework environment as of late, I've been noticing that since all meetings have gone to virtual and I'm staring at the computer screen more, I actually picked up a pair of those blue light blocking computer glasses. And I got a link in the description to an Amazon page. Like I said, we're not paid by anyone, just a product we want to share. And I've noticed a reduce in headaches and fatigue, and I don't feel as tired at the end of the workday. So just something, if anyone out there has the same kind of issues, check them out, see what you think.
Yeah, Mike, I'll have to check those out, and I look forward to hearing about your first endeavor into points vacations and your honeymoon.
Wonderful.
All right, next time, catch you then.
See ya.